Good evening, YouTube. It is the evening of Wednesday, the 6th of September, and I'm going to catch you up on what I've been doing over the last couple of days. I'm not going to do a separate video for yesterday because I didn't really do anything yesterday apart from go home, but let me just finish off where I was on Tuesday morning, and then I'll tell you what I've done today. So if you watched my last video, it was an epic day, and I think I made it clear during the day, but if not, I'm going to make it clear now that I don't endorse that kind of length of a day. It's not something people should be doing very often. I think from my point of view, once in a while, it's a bit of an adventure, is how I see it, but it's not something that I would definitely recommend. It was a long day. Right, so on Tuesday morning, if you may remember, I couldn't get into the lockbox, so I just went back to bed in the van, woke up about 9:30, and then by the time I'd woken up, there was somebody to take the items off me. And at this point in time, this was about say 10 o'clock, I was thinking, what to do now? It feels like I've had 2 full days of work. I've definitely earned enough money for 2 full days. I need to have some sort of wash or shower or bath. I need to just kind of get my head around what I've just done. And I thought I could just plough on with more work, but it felt like the wrong thing to do at that point. So I decided that I'd pop home, have a bit of a rest, freshen up a bit, and then see. I was going to go and do some work sort of in that afternoon, and sort of start off, maybe tramp somewhere that night. So I got home, and I did all those things. I had a bath and I just had something to eat and spoke to my partner, and it just felt like a good chance to have a day off, a good opportunity to have a day off. Like I said, I had earned enough money for both days, so it did not work at all. I did look for a job for this morning, and I did get one. I made a bit of a mistake. My partner was looking at jobs and telling me what they were, and I was saying, oh, we'll bid on that one, I won't bid on that one. And she told me that there was a job going from Boston to Stoke. And I thought, that's going to be a one that waits for a long time in Stoke. So I put on £130, which is my standard amount for sort of Boston to Stoke. And then I got a call, and I got it through about 5 minutes later. And it wasn't until I looked at the booking, I realised it was a long wheelbase job. And when I asked them, it wasn't to do with where I thought it was. So I did bid about £1.15 per mile, but it was accidentally. If I was going to do it again, I'd bid probably £1.50 for that job. But I might not have got it, so it was okay in the end. It wasn't a disaster. I got £130 for a job that was, let me just check how long it was. It was 113 miles for a long wheelbase. So I had a job for the morning, and so I relaxed for that day. And at this point, I want to tell you about my pre-booked job. I had one pickup from Manchester City Centre, or Salford City Centre, and it was a drop off in High Wycombe. And for that one job, I was going to get £255, 255, and the mileage for that is 187 miles. So my plan was, Stoke's not very far from Manchester. I'll get this job done from Boston to Stoke, and then I'll try and get a job from Stoke to Manchester, or just drive up. And then my plan was going to be then to bring that load straight down from Manchester to High Wycombe and go and then go either home or find another job after that, depending on what time I got finished. So the first thing that I did wrong, you must realise by now, this is a litany of what I do wrong every time I do a video. The first thing I did wrong, and I'll own up to it, is I didn't actually check how far it was to the pickup. I saw Boston, I've been there loads of times, and I thought that's half an hour. So I thought I'll give myself 45 minutes and then I'll be there a bit early. When I put this morning when I put my postcode in, it was actually not actually in Boston, it's the other side of Boston from me, and it was a 45-minute journey from where I was. So I was still theoretically going to get there on time, but that was more by accident than by design. So I should have done some planning before then, just to double check where I was going. And then I made my way to Boston, and I got to the postcode, and I could not find the pickup point. Now, if you've done this job, if you're not brand new, you'll realise that the postcodes you get given, they take you to the centre of the road often, not necessarily the point you're delivering from or to, but usually, in my experience, I've found the place really easily, if not by looking around me, by doing a search on Google Maps for the actual name of the company. So I got to this road. It was quite a rural road. It was an A road, but it was rural. It was outside of any sort of town or village. And I was looking around for the place I was meant to deliver to. I couldn't find it. I stopped at a crossroads just beyond where the postcode was, because the crossroads I thought was going to be the end of the postcode rather than it carrying on. And then I did a search on Google Maps for the name of the company, and it was nowhere near me. It wasn't in the right city, so it wasn't the right place in terms of on Google Maps. I tried searching for the industrial estate, the road name. The road name was the road I was on, but it was like a 10 or 15 mile road. It didn't help me at all to find where I was going. So I had to go up and ring the shipper. So I asked the shipper if they knew where the location was for the pickup, and after a bit of faffing about, she said that it's next to a pub with a red sign, and I was right next to a pub with a red sign, so I was really close to it, but I couldn't see it still. So she guided me on the map to where she thought it was, and as I drove back on myself, past the pub that I was parked outside, there was a large tractor retailer, which I had discounted because that wasn't where I was going. But then as I came in the opposite direction to where I originally had gone, I saw that behind there was a sign of the place I was going to. But because of where it was set back from the road, and it was behind a hedge, I wouldn't have seen it coming the way I came originally. I would only have seen it if I'd gone back down the road. So it was, so it wasn't on Google Maps. There was one sign set back from the road at the name of the company, so it was easy to miss, I would say. So I pulled in, and I was still on the phone with the shipper at this point. I said, "I've arrived now. Thank you for your help." And then I want to have a little mini rant now at this point. It'll be a rant for me, but it'll be quite mini. But it's something that I found quite frustrating. And to be fair, this morning I didn't have much patience for it. I just ended up saying, "Okay, fine, I'm giving up now." And it's this. I said to the lady on the phone words to the effect of, "Oh, I found it now. Oh, just so that you know, if there's a driver coming here for the first time, the instructions on the booking aren't very clear. You're going to have to put something else on the instructions for a first-time driver so that they can find this place." Now, from my point of view, I was saying that as a way of helping the shipper to help future drivers who go there for the first time. And it's me going out of my way a little bit to support somebody else, i.e. to support this shipper, this business, because they get their customer, who was picking up from, they go there a lot, so they need drivers to get there on time really and know where they're going. So I was providing that purely as a customer service for my customer being the shipper. And immediately, the first thing she said was, well, we know this problem before, everyone else finds it. Now, ignore my tone. My tone is me being frustrated. She wasn't being short with me, but just the words she was saying was, she wasn't listening to what I was saying. She wasn't listening to me giving some feedback. She was being quite defensive and saying, well, it's just you. No other driver has a problem with that. And I thought, well, that's not the point here. I'm here now. If I come again, I'm not going to know where I'm going. It's for the next driver who has the same problem. So it was a very poor, I think, response. So I tried to explain again. Okay, fair enough. I understand what you're saying, but I said, if there's a driver comes for the first time, they're going to struggle to find this place. So I just want to let you know to put better instructions on. And again, she just kind of wasn't listening to me. She started saying, something else that wasn't saying, oh, thank you. All I wanted to say was, thank you, I'll change that on the system. So all I needed from her. And then she said something else that was more of a defensive for her. I thought, oh, fine. I said to her, that's all right, thank you. I've not got time for this. I've got to go now. Because I was obviously a bit late, because I'd arrived dead on the time at the crossroads, but by now it's 5-10 minutes before, after the time I was meant to be there. So I didn't want to hang around and have this conversation, particularly someone who wasn't listening to me. So I cut the conversation quite short and then went to the office. But what I want to say here is, the more I do this, the more I realise this is a customer service job. So the best shippers I come across know that. And the best drivers that I hear about know that. And as a symbiotic relationship, drivers and shippers should work together. So if a driver knows something about the site that the shipper, because they're not there, doesn't know, feeding it back to the shipper, it's just a good customer service. And the shipper should just thank them and accept the support they're getting, not try and effectively blame the driver for not being as good as the other drivers they have, which is crazy. Anyway, so that's my little mini rant about that. I think some of you will get what I'm talking about, and some of you will have no idea why it's important to me. That's the beauty of this video. I mean, this channel, I suppose, not this video. This video is just this video. The next thing I was talking about was when I got there, the lady in the office was really nice. She guided me around. She took the details. I was quite impressed with this one. It was the outfit seemed quite new. I think the actual industrial state was very old, but it looked like it was a new company. And it looked like quite a small enterprise, because it was a very young girl in the office, and it wasn't fancy. And the forklift driver was manic with his forklift. But what I liked about it was she took a photo of the reference number that I had. She took a photo of my van reg. She told me where to go. She waited for me to load up the 2 pallets. I secured them. She waited for all that to happen, and then she took a photo for herself of the pallets on my van. And so I was thinking, I'm pleased you did that, because you're taking this seriously. You're a shipper that values this job being done properly, and I like shippers that are professional like that. I had no problem with her taking the photos of myself. I didn't want to be in the photos, but taking the photos of the load of my van is absolutely fine. I think it's a really good idea. Obviously, I'll take my own photos as well and put them on the CX so the shipper can see them, but I thought that was a good thing for them to do. Right, so I picked up that 2 pallets and I made my way towards Stoke, and I left, when did I leave there? Let's have a look. I left that place at I'm on the wrong booking, sorry. So I left there at 10:30, just gone 10:30. And then I arrived and was finished in Stoke by 1:45. And then I had a choice. I looked at how far Stoke was from Manchester, and it was about an hour and a quarter and about 55 miles. It was a bit too far for me to dead mile it. So I had a look at what jobs were on the alerts, and I looked at anything that was going from where I was towards Manchester, and there were a couple of bids up on the way up going from Stoke to Manchester, which would have been ideal, but I didn't get them. they're sort of, I put minimum price jobs on both of them, £50 for both of them, and they would have been great to get me up there. But I think they're both small van jobs, that probably went cheaper. And then a job came up going from Buxton to Oldham. Actually, check on the map. Oldham is pretty much, I hope not offended, pretty much Manchester. From my point of view, Oldham and Manchester seem to be the same place, pretty much. I'm sure if you live in either places, you'd think that's nonsense. I was picking up in Buxton, and that was about 20 minutes from where I was. So I thought that was worth a bid, because at this point I was about to just dead mile it up to Manchester anyway. So I did a slightly lower bid. I did £40 for a 30-mile journey, a 30-mile loaded mile journey, and I got the £40 bid for a small van job. And I want at this point say that the trip, I've done this a few times now. I don't know what the road is called, but it's going to Buxton. The countryside from going from Stoke to Buxton is amazing, and I really wanted to stop and do a video there, showing the views. I bet it's a great place to rest up and sort of look around. I don't know. I've got a weird question for you. If you live in Buxton, it's going to sound like a silly question, but there may be someone who has a experience of this. I think Buxton looks like it's in the middle of a very hilly area, and I think it's pretty much in a dip with hills around it. So my question is, does it have good Wi-Fi internet there? I'm assuming it must do, because it's a pretty modern town, but it just seems to be one of those places that might just be in a black spot because of the hills all around it. But anyway, if you know, I'd like to know. It'd be quite interesting. Anyway, so what happened? I picked up in Buxton. What did I pick up? It was I'm just looking at my photos to remind me. My memory is so bad. It was it's a pallet, one pallet. It's a pallet of printing stuff. Oh yes, this was a pallet of printed stuff, and I noticed it was quite a small pallet. It was a Euro pallet, but they were all loose leaflets, and I thought, hey, I remember this. So I made sure that I secured it down really well, because I didn't want to have my same issue from before when I spoke about my worst mistake ever. But it was all fine. I got my edge protectors on the ends and a couple of straps on. It was fine. But it did remind me of my other time I had loose leaflets. So yes, I took that up to Oldham, and then offloaded it really quickly. They're really good at the other end. And then I made my way through some heavy traffic to Manchester or Salford. I don't know if I meant to say the different places or not. It was definitely Salford I was in, but it's kind of Manchester as far as I'm concerned. And maybe if you live there, it's not. Who knows? I'm guessing you'd think it's different places, but for purposes of this, it's Manchester for me. So I picked up my load from there, and then made my way away from there. What time did I finish? I'd finished and I loaded at 5:15, and then I made my way from there down to High Wycombe. Traffic was quite busy in and out of the Manchester area, and so it was quite delayed, and I made myself straight down from there to High Wycombe, and it was a bit of a race. I was hoping to get down in time before the depot closed. I was due to get back at 8:30, and it was highly unlikely that the depot would open at that time, but it was, and so I got in there, got unloaded in about 7 minutes, and got out of there quickly before it closed. So I was really pleased because I got that offloaded. So I'm going to give you my stats for today, but I'm probably going to look for another job after this. I'm going to try and get myself closer to home, and I'm not going to do any dead miles. I'm trying to do less dead miles this week. So I'll tell you what I've got so far, and then tomorrow, if I do anything else, I'll update you. So for today's stats, they are as follows. So I'm going to tell you yesterday's as well. So I didn't tell you Tuesday's stats, but I will. There is some stats to give you. So for Tuesday, yesterday, I did work for 4.5 hours. I drove for 214 miles, 214. I therefore at 16.19 pence per mile, it's going up still. My fuel. I spent £34.66 yesterday. I did the one job for 275. That was the job, if you remember, going from Glasgow down to Wigan and then to Huntingdon. And that means after my fuel, I earned £240, 240. Then today, I've worked for 11.5 hours. I've driven 388 miles, 388, and at 16.19 pence per mile, that is a cost for fuel of 62.84 pence. I've earned today from 2 CX jobs £40 and £130, and then my non-CX job £255, 255. It's a total of 425. Therefore, after fuel, I've earned £362 today, 362. Now I'm going to quickly give you an average for the last 3 days. I've worked after fuel. My average earnings for the last 3 days is £345. So I've got 2 more days to work this week, and I should therefore make my target quite easily. Right, some things to update you on. My regular shipper I get work from each week has confirmed that it's a finite contract and it will end at some point. They don't know when, but I will at some point not have that work anymore. So I don't know when it'll be. I'm going to work on the basis that sometime between now and Christmas it will stop, but obviously the longer it lasts the better. Roughly speaking, I would say I probably earn in the region of a day's worth of work per week on average from that. So that's about 20% of my earnings roughly per week. So I'll have to find that from the CX when it stops. Another little thing I want to talk about is I had my van valeted last week, and I've noticed that the body of the van on the outside seems to be staying cleaner for longer. It seems to have some sort of sheen on it that I don't usually get, and all I can think of is that the guy that did it was using his own water, not water from the tap, so maybe it's treated so that it has a better finish. I might just be talking nonsense. I don't think it's worth the money to have it done that way every time, but I'm really glad that I did do it once. I usually just get the van washed with the roadside guys that do it in about 10 minutes. I'm not someone who does it myself. Oh well, I do the windscreen myself. I'm impressed when I do that, to be honest. I'm not very hands-on with these sort of things. I wanted to share something else with you which is completely irrelevant but just bugs me. Today I filled up with fuel and there was a comma rather than a decimal point on the display, and I thought, that's weird, that's not how it should be displayed. So it's like 117, like if the fuel was £150 and 99 pence, it was 150, comma 99. So I had a quick look. I look at it closer. I thought maybe I'm just mislooking at it. But right up to the screen, and it was definitely a comma. It was like thicker at the top and then went down to a point underneath. It wasn't because the display had a lack of pixels. It was because they'd chosen to put a comma, not a decimal point. Why? What's that about? Okay. And I want to talk a little bit now about you people watching or listening to this. So what I like about doing these videos, from me, one of the things I like about these videos is that I get to talk out loud to somebody about my day. And it's not that I'm lonely, I've got a partner at home, I can talk to her about my day, but it's about me kind of going through what I'm feeling, what I'm thinking, my perspectives on my job. It's about being heard, I think. And the way that I choose to do this is that I think of YouTube as the entity that I'm talking to. So I talk to YouTube like YouTube is a person, and I think of this as me talking to a person, but I don't visualize a particular person. And I'm aware that you are going to be very different from other people who watch these videos and from me. And so the beauty of this is I get to talk to you in quite an open and honest way. I get to share with you what I'm thinking, and with the comments you can reply to some extent if you choose to, and there's always benefits to that. But I kind of think that you're someone who generally agrees with what I'm doing or how I'm doing it, and that you're someone who has a bit of common sense, has a bit of thoughtfulness and logic. You know, I'm kind of projecting on you the kind of characteristics that I like, and that makes it easy for me to be honest with you and sort of tell you what I'm thinking and feeling and stuff. Now, my logical brain knows that some of you will not have those characteristics. Some of you might be watching this and hating it and wanting to kind of really disagree with it, and I kind of think I'm okay with that as long as you give me a reason. Some of you will agree with what I'm saying, but will have very different views on other things. Some of you will disagree with some things and agree with other things. Some of you will disagree with a lot of things. So I don't know who you are and your background and what your desires and wants are and what you get from this. But I kind of try to talk to you like you're a person, because obviously you are actually a person, but I just don't know who you are. So I hope that makes a bit of sense. I like this aspect of the videos. I'm talking to another person. Oh yeah, and this is the next thing, because if I was actually in front of you talking to you face to face, I would find it a lot harder, and I would not be as open and honest, and I would probably struggle to think, well, what am I meant to say now? How am I meant to say it? What do you think? There'd be a lot more of me having to accommodate what you want from the conversation. So I am still planning to do some other videos about the autistic traits. I've got 3 videos that I'm planning to do, but I want to get them right. But this is kind of a preliminary one to sort of for me to say how I see you, and I kind of I don't visualize you as in a physical thing, but I kind of visualize your character as being kind of a nice, pleasant, friendly person that I'm chatting to. So if you are that, hooray for you. And if you're not, well, maybe one day, eh? Okay, I'm going to leave it there. Actually, I bet I had to do a quick update on my subscribers because I haven't done it for a while and I haven't seen it. I got a couple of extras ones, I think, since last time we spoke. So at the moment, if I pop into my thing, 152, 152. I can't remember what the last figure was. I think it's in the 140s, so it might have been about 5 or 6 less than that before. So it's going up again. So 152 is brilliant. I'm very, very proud of that. Thank you very much. I think that's everything I want to say. I'm going to do some comments, reply to some comments now, get this uploaded, and then I shall speak to you tomorrow. What have you all learnt today?